Hi guys, so I'm back with the Emperor card, and the Emperor card has, well, I'll show you. So anyhow, here we go. And I'm only using the Rider-Waite this time, the Crowley, and the Wizard of Odd. So the Rider-Waite, we can tell. There we go. So the Emperor card has the classic colors of red and orange that dominates in this card. And this is because we're entering the realm of the finite with this card. We're entering the realm of limitation, definition, measurements, logic and reason. So the red represents the root chakra. The root chakras, of course, are tribal affiliations, our need for survival, our first imprint, our desires, our lusts, our drives, our base instincts. This is all represented by this red. But also it's kind of orangey, so it moves into the sacral a little bit. So it's showing his potent sexuality, the desire to create, the desire to be creative, and the desire to be a creator. So you can see here the mountains in the background are representative of lofty high-mindedness, high thoughts, noble reason, the eagle flying over the sky, seeing things from a higher perspective, reminiscent of the mountains in the Bible, right? So the Moses going up the mountain to receive inspiration, to receive knowledge, but also the ark landing on the mountain, and so on and so forth. Then we see the Emperor is holding a staff, which is absolutely a phallic symbol with the circle at the top, which indicates his connection to femininity. So he supports the feminine. This is the structure that is supportive of feminine energy, of creativity, and so on and so forth. So he's in perfect balance when he is in balance with the Empress, the feminine part. So he's got the ram everywhere, which is connecting him to Aries. And this is interesting because this is the first sign of the zodiac that is showing up here. The previous cards were associated with planets, right? So the Fool was with Uranus, so way far out there. But also the ancient sky god of a past paradigm that we have no connection to anymore. The Mercury was Hermes, or the magician. Then we've got the moon for the high priestess and Venus for the empress. This is the first zodiac sign. So this is the first manifested reality. So this actually represents the mind itself in this consciousness. So the mind outside of the consciousness would be like the magician kind of thing. But in this realm of consciousness, it is the Emperor. So it's restrictive, it's limiting, due to its nature of definition, naming, defining, measuring, because it needs to in order to create structures. So remember, these structures are in thinking, in consciousness. So not only structures of things that I can grab and hold on to and hold in my hand, but concepts that I can hold in my mind, that I can think about, that I can use to create patterns of thinking so that I don't have to constantly think about the same thing over and over again, right? So this is also where memory begins, right? The first recordings, the first memories, the first writing down of things so that we don't have to go over the same lesson over and over again. We can remember certain things, and because of that, we have the capacity to reason, to think, to grow from there into this dimension. So this is what the Emperor represents, is this initial foundation, this base laying, this womb. This is what it is, right? So, excuse me for a second. Further symbols would include his beard, which symbols, of course, wisdom and age, his long hair, so potency, power, right? Hair has always been associated with potent power. Sitting on the stone throne, so authority. His suit of armor, so something that this consciousness feels the need to defend itself as well, right? So rationalizations, defense. And all the way behind here, we see this thin trickle of a stream. This thin stream. And so remember that water represents the connection to the subconscious, the unconscious, the the intuitive, irrational forces. So there's very little here. There's very, very little connection to that. Very little connection to the waters of the unconscious. So it's really the logical, conscious thinking, analytical structures of the mind. So this card represents the ego, right? To me, in my definition here, this card is the first sign of the ego, the first showing of the ego, the first clearly stating, I am on this side of the veil, right? On this side of consciousness. Okay, so moving on to the Crowley version. Of course, the same colors here. He is also sitting enthroned here. There is also the rams are at the top here, left and right, symbols of Aries. And down here is the lamb waving a flag. So let's go through the symbology and what other ideas are being given here. So the emperor represents the universal principle of power and leadership. This is the pioneer, the leader, the builder, the doer, and the visionary. And similar to Aries or the ram, the emperor is also a discoverer, someone who drives himself to be on the edge of the known, right? So someone who tries to find out more, who tries to gain more territory. That's basically what it's saying. So it's associated, of course, with the yang energy, and we can see bees on his coat because it's supposed to remind us that all leadership needs to have far sight, far vision, and they stand for differing ways of seeing things, different perspectives in this tarot deck. The lily is associated with where's the lily? Oh, these lilies here is associated again with aristocracy and leadership. Then we've got the lamb, which is a symbol of the Christian Angus Day, the Lamb of God. The double phoenix on the shield is a bird of wonder and transformation, and it reminds us that you're changing yourself on the inside as well as on the outside. So it's a reminder for that. So the 4 represents a time, or what does 4 represent? Well, let's look into numerology here. So the 4 is stability. It's a symbol of law, order, and structure. It is strength, stability, safety, and conservatism. It is the builder. It is the forming of the earth happened on the 4th day in the Christian Genesis story. And what else? So form, work, construction, stability, perseverance, discipline, practical abilities, self-discipline, and so on and so forth. So that's it in numerology, but numerology also talks about cycles, right? So the 4 would represent that time in your life when you're going through a cycle of wanting to start new endeavors, new projects, wanting to deal with things that, maybe you have issues with father figures or authority, wanting to build a foundation, wanting to create something from scratch, but something that lasts the length of time, something that is enduring. But most of all, it has to do with fathership, leadership, things of that nature. And so the affirmations that are given to work with this card are, I enjoy myself. I enjoy bringing in projects. I enjoy starting new projects. I appreciate and honor my leadership qualities. I am good at making things easier for people. I am a responsible and creative person. Ooh. So then, of course, the 4s now, the Emperor, the 4s works with the 4s in the minor arcana. So the Emperor means leadership or mastery. And another card that it's associated with, or it takes into itself, well, the Fool goes through everything, but the Fool, which brings in that Aryan energy of, or connects to that Aryan energy, I'm sorry, of courage and letting go of things, in order for this Emperor to be the pioneer, to push forward into new realms where there's Star Trek, right? Going where no man has ever been before. It's also connected to the Death card 13-4, right? So in spite of, this is the dissolution of form, the dissolution of the Four. So very connected to it, to reopen, to recreate, to create a new form. Then moving into, that was the major arcana. I'm sorry, I was starting to talk about the minor arcana. Moving into the minor arcana, you've got the Four of Swords, which represents peace. So a standstill, where it's like four, right? Still, things aren't moving. Thoughts aren't moving. Ideas aren't moving. It's a time for meditation, for peace, for healing. Also mental healing. Then the Four of Cups, which represents overflow, right? There's so much that you're just like, can't. So this is the abundance of the masculine kind of thing, right? Where it's so much, it's like, oh, can't do it. I hope that made sense. I know it didn't, but I'm not going to redo this video. So then the Four of Wands, which is completion of a project, of an idea, of something, right? So the Four of Wands represents, you know, with the three, your ships are coming in, right? So you've had that vision, you've had the experience of what it means to have that vision manifest. And with the Four, you're feeling pretty smug about it. You're feeling pretty successful. You're pretty, you know, but there's a bigger vision to this. So it moves on into the Five, where things then shift. But in the Four, you feel a sense of completion. You feel a sense of, oh, this is home. The Four of Pentacles, which means power, right? Holding on to power as well, right? To maintain power, holding on to power, maintaining structures. So the only challenge that the Emperor faces actually is to live up to its essence, to its energy, and to not feel challenged by moving into a position of leadership, to be able to take on that role as a leader and be able to fulfill its purpose as a leader. Okay, and then the final card that I wanted to show you guys, because I like digging into the runes. Now this card has the window for the Hebrew alphabet. So it's a window, and then it's got, of course, the Mars here, associated with Mars, associated with Aries, and down here we have the rune. What's it called again? 1 second, let me pull it up. Once I see it, I'll know it. Well, I should know it because I'm just looking at it, but I know my runes. 1 second. 1 second. My gosh, on the tip of my tongue. I am not redoing this video, guys. You're gonna have to bear with me. No, I'm not. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. I refuse. So there it is, of course, Taiwaz. Ah, of course. So Taiwaz is the first rune of the last Et, and so but I won't get into that. So it leads back to Wodenaz and Turinaz, and Taiwaz rune is equal. It's similar to a spear, and it's upward movement. So this indicates movement. It indicates what do you call it? Errungenschaften. It indicates winning over something. Okay, it indicates being successful, conquering something. There we go. Conquering something, being successful, and moving out of a sense of justice, right? Justice is really big in maintaining holding your head high. This rune is of walking tall, walking proud, holding your head high, acting out of a sense of justice, conquering things, winning, and so on and so forth. Taking things on, courage and honor, things like that. So everything that has to do with that. So this rune is connected on a spiritual level to the essence or the energy of a spiritual warrior. And it is connected to death in war. Let me see what this does in rune magic. So as a personality trait, it's the ability to be fair and to give a just, to give justice, to be just, the potential to act correctly in conflict, but not shy away from conflict, and showing courage. Let me see. Taiwas. So the magical use of this rune is basically used to gain justice, but you already have to have justice on your side to be able to use this rune properly. So it can't be used to manipulate justice or the concept or the energy of justice. So you have to be in the right from a moral, ethical standpoint to be able to work with it properly, because you can't use it as an extended arm of your justice. It doesn't work. So the ruler of this rune is Tyr, that a god that represents the opposite to Odin. Very direct, very straightforward, very clear, very justice. So a bind rune of Taiwas and Raido can be used to win a court case. And whereas Turisaz is also about conflict, that's more on a really tangible level, Taiwas is about conflict on an intellectual level. Okay, so there we have it with the rune and how this ties in as well to the card. So this is intellectual conflict. It's all about justice. It's about standing proud. It's about standing in your truth, in honor, integrity, standing up for what you represent, showing courage, showing loyalty, showing justice, right? But a pure justice. So not your concept of justice, but the concept of justice. So it cannot be abused. It cannot be misused. This energy cannot be in any which way falsified, in a sense, right? So that's what that rune represents with this card. And there you have it. That is the Emperor card. The Emperor, so if it comes up in divination, what does it mean? Similar to the Empress, it can mean abundance, of course, but more along the lines of structure. The Emperor really works. So what brings structure to your life? Those are the lines that you've got to flow with. So whatever brings structure to your life, this is thought about with the Emperor. So this could be agencies, it could be corporations, it could be schools, educational facilities, institutions, whichever shape or form, agencies. It could be bureaucracy itself. It could be concepts, ideas, teachings, your work, your job. It could be you know, but mostly it has to do with those things that are out of our control, that are connected to a rather impersonal energy of, so not usually, well, it can be a person, yes, but this is where your intuition comes in and tells you what it is, if it's a person or if it's an agency or a corporation or what have you. But it can reflect anything that is bringing structure or affecting the structures under which or in which you live. This can also mean you need to self-discipline. You need to buckle down. You need to have a look at your structures. What brings structure to your life? What do you do to create structure? What kind of structures have you created that may need a look at or an overhaul? So this is also really important with the Emperor. Otherwise, breaking through, showing courage can be war, conquest, conflict, ambition, authority figures, power, protection, realization, and megalomania. Alrighty, guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and sorry for the minor bumps in between, but have a great day, and see you tomorrow for the Hierophant. Take care.